For many people, no matter what they do, their bank account balance doesn't seem to grow. Everything that comes in disappears just as quickly. In this video, I'm breaking down 10 money mistakes that could be keeping you stuck, and I will show you also what to do instead. Some of these bad habits I realized already years ago, while others I only recently corrected after realizing that I wasn't being intentional enough. By the end of this video, you will have practical ways to stop money from slipping through your fingers and tips to start building real financial security. Let's dive in. Number one, ignoring the balance between needs and wants. So kind of having this mindset that money should be enjoyed now without any balance. I think it's easy to justify these small purchases or things that bring comfort to us, especially when they feel like they are deserved, that we have been working so hard and that's why we deserve. This is like a reward for us. And I understand this, but I think that it's very important to know where's kind of the line. Growing up, I actually didn't give much thought to distinguishing between needs and wants. I was just spending money when I was feeling to spend money. Most of the time I didn't spend, I was saving, just because I never saw the point of spending just for the sake of it. And I have to say, as adults, this balance, finding this balance between needs and wants becomes crucial because of all the increased responsibilities that we have. Some people suggest that the balance should be 50-30-20, so 50% needs, 30% wants, and then 20% savings. And then there are people, for example, in the FIRE movement, so financial independence, retire early, that are saving or investing like 60-70% of their income, spend only 10% on wants and only buy the essential things. So I think you need to find what is the right thing for you and for your situation right now. Personally, I have tracked my own expenses for some time, and I have found a good balance to be spending a lot more on the needs and quite few on the wants, but still not feeling like I cannot buy something if I really want to, and it could somehow improve my life. So I suggest to make a list of your true needs, like groceries, rent, like things like that, and then limit the ones like eating out or buying new clothes all the time. So set this amount each month for the wants and the needs, kind of budgeting, we could say. I have actually created my own free template or sheet to help you track your expenses. There's both needs and wants sections for those two, and then additional space for any unique expenses that you may have. I think filling one of these will give you a very good baseline for where your money goes and highlight also some areas for cuts. If you're interested in this, the link is in the description. I will send it to your inbox completely for free. And just remember that rewarding yourself is important and okay, but maintaining a healthy financial balance, I think, is very important as well. Number two, staying stuck in the same job. This goes especially to those people who aren't in their dream jobs yet. I think it's a mistake to accept a low salary just because your living costs are currently low, instead of exploring better opportunities or negotiating for a raise. Remember that while your living costs may be low right now in your life, the future is very much unpredictable. By not seeking new jobs or asking for raises, you are potentially leaving a lot of money on the table. Everything else is getting more expensive due to inflation except your salary. So you're just making life more difficult for yourself. And I understand that the comfort and security of staying in a familiar job is important or makes you feel really good. But if you're not loving your current job, it's important not to stay in that position that doesn't offer you any growth or doesn't offer you or cannot offer you any pay raise. Because also the longer you stay in a stagnant role, the more you miss out on learning new skills or earning higher income. Studies show that changing jobs every 2 to 3 years can result in a salary increase of 10-20% compared to staying in the same position. And in the UK, the national governmental data shows that the employees who changed roles and industries had a 12.4% increase in earnings on average. And those who moved to a different company but stayed in the same sector, the same field, also saw an increase with an 8% rise in income. So start exploring other job options even if you are not ready to apply yet. I think it just helps to get to know what is out there. And who knows, maybe you will find something that matches your expectations or the idea what you have of a dream job and dream salary as well much better. And also, if you apply and you go in an interview and they tell you, hey, you got the job, still you don't need to accept that. You can say, well, after all, I prefer to stay where I am now. I like something there much more. So by seeing what are all the other opportunities, you can basically just win. There's nothing really that you can lose. The third mistake or poor habit is living in an oversized home. Usually the bigger the house is, the higher the expenses. So I guess the question is, how big a home do you actually need? People often think that they need extra space for comfort, for status or future plans. Maybe one day somebody wants to come to visit us and we need multiple rooms to host these people, even if these things are not even necessary right now, or they are just ideas in your head, something that might happen. Many people idealize these mansions and very big houses because how free they make them feel, because there's so much space. But actually those are taking a lot of freedom from you away, possibly because all the costs that they have, the maintenance costs, the buying things, rent, mortgage, utilities, taxes, everything. So if that used to be the American dream, I wonder what is the American dream right now when things have changed a lot, especially financially and economically. There, maybe it's just a smaller space and you can actually save money each month and you can feel more free that way. Maybe that's the new American dream, who knows. If you have too big house, consider downsizing to a smaller home that fits better your needs and your budget, still makes you feel comfortable. I think that is a very good change so that you can free up some money for living expenses and reduce all those maintenance costs. The fourth money mistake is focusing on saving, not investing. While I think saving money is essential, money left only in a savings account may lose value over time because of inflation. And I understand many people feel just safer keeping their money in a savings account rather than risking it in some investments. And also investing can be feel difficult to start. It can feel very complicated or intimidating. I've been doing that for almost a decade now. I started quite early, quite young, and by starting I mean putting 20 euros, $20, like a very, very small amount in some low-cost index fund and just seeing what happens. How is this? How does this whole system work? And of course I haven't made any money from that 20, but it's the learning curve. That is the most important thing if you have never invested. So getting started, educating yourself a little bit, and then investing a very small amount. You definitely don't have to put all your life saving at once. I don't even suggest that would be just stupid. But if you're not investing, it's 100% sure that you will be losing money. 5. Emotional spending, or using emotional spending as stress relief. So basically buying things impulsively to relieve boredom or sadness or anger or any of these feelings that you might be feeling. It might do that. Like it may temporarily give you that joy, but it can lead to a lot of guilt. It can lead to a lot of clutter in your home, and especially some financial strains when you are just recklessly spending money to feel good. I think you will just end up in this cycle that you are feeling bad, spending money to feel good, but actually you just feel worse. I think that is just something that has been taught to us from a very young age, especially if you are the same age as me around, that shopping is something fun to do, something entertaining, something you do with your friends during the weekend. You just go to the mall and spend all the, what is it called? Allowance, I think in English. Basically the money that you get from your parents on some stuff. That's what you do. Like interestingly, there was this study that found out that 79% of teenage girls identified shopping as a hobby for them. And I like, for me, it's weird that now when I think of it like more objectively, being more adult, that shopping would be any sort of hobby. I think it's something you should do when you need to buy something, not when you feel bored or you don't know what to do. So instead of falling into this mindset, I think it's much better to search for activities or coping mechanisms for that stress that don't cost much and are much better for your mental health, like hiking, spending time in nature, spending time with friends, exercising, doing some artistic things. Basically, finding things that are supporting your well-being and at the same time supporting your wallet, or at least are not so harmful for your financial situation. 6. Avoiding goal setting for finances. What was your financial goal for this year? What will it be for next year? What about for the next 10 years? It's okay if you don't know this, if you don't have an idea. I didn't have any ideas for a very long time either. Just recently, when I've been starting to be more intentional with my money and do some goal setting in my life as well, I've been paying more attention to this. Previously, my plan was basically to just earn money, try not to spend it all and hope for the best. And I think that that is not the best way to go about this. That's not the best approach. Because without a clear goal in mind, it's much harder to achieve financial success or even just avoid being poor. I don't think that you need to aim for becoming super rich, but having certain specific goals like building an emergency fund or paying off debt can make a huge difference. If you feel that you are not really good with money or you have made some mistakes before, I think this can feel a little bit overwhelming, or you might feel some insecurity when it comes to this, but only like just spending 15 to 30 minutes thinking about what could be my financial goal for next year. Hey, that sounds good, let's do that, is much better than not doing it at all. Like, you have to start small and start easy, and then you can start this process, get a better understanding, and start aligning your actions with these goals. So consider saving a set amount from your income each month or building an emergency fund. With that, that's exactly what I've been doing recently. And I have found it super helpful to write these numbers down and then check them off as I achieve them. This process just keeps me motivated and reminds me of what I'm working towards. 7. Paying for multiple subscription services, especially holding on to streaming app or software subscriptions that you rarely use. These subscriptions can seem affordable on their own, but if you have a lot of them, they can add up really fast. So I think also in these subscriptions, it's important to understand what is a need and what is a want. For example, streaming services like Netflix are generally wants, but of course they can still be a need if you feel like it, that they are fulfilling a need for entertainment, which all of us need sometimes. So I guess if you have a lot of these, then it starts to be like, okay, is it any more a need, or are some of these just wants? Am I even using all of them? And then you might have some subscriptions like creative tools or something that you use for work or personal projects that save a lot of time. And these are definitely needs. And therefore, even though you have multiple of them, it doesn't mean that you need to let them go. I think if we're talking generally, people just have too many subscriptions or too many apps they don't use, and that money is essentially more waste than a good investment. But that's why I suggest to regularly review your subscriptions and cancel those that you don't use, and also share accounts if possible. If you find something that is really interesting, you can ask your social circle, hey, would you like to share an account to me for this certain application or service? That's exactly what I've been doing, and I suggest to do what Tara does. She left this comment. One thing I do with subscriptions or apps after purchasing is I go online and immediately cancel it. It won't cancel until the 3, 6 or 12 months is up, but that way it won't automatically renew. Number 8, ignoring seasonal sales cycles. That rhymes quite well, or sounds pretty funny. So basically not timing purchases with seasonal sales or major discounts, like as an example, buying winter clothes at full price when it's the winter time, rather than waiting for end of season sales. This is especially important in places like Finland, where we have very distinct seasons with quite warm summers and very cold winters. Always the winter stuff are like in crazy discounts during the end of season, so spring and summer, and you can find really great bargains during this time for both second-hand and new clothing and sports equipment, stuff like that. So that's why it's very important to plan your purchases around these sale times. Like now we are, for example, entering one, and it's good to think already for next year. What could I need? Maybe this is now a good time to buy that. because prices are lower. I've been adding things to my shopping list for quite some time now, and I know that now when Black Friday comes, I'll be saving a lot of money because I waited and I didn't buy those things a few weeks ago. Number 9, ignoring small expenses. I think many people underestimate the impact of small purchases, thinking that they are just minor things that won't affect their finances. It's only a few bucks here and there. And I think it's easy to justify these expenses in the moment, especially if or when they feel very affordable to you. But, there's a big but here, I think these coffee cups or sodas, especially if they are daily, they can add up really quickly, even though they seem insignificant or something that you need in that moment. Without even noticing, in total, you could spend thousands on these every single year. So when these little costs go unnoticed, they can consume a large portion of your income, leaving less room for savings or essential spending. So keep track of all your expenses, even the small ones, to see where your money is actually going. And you can, for example, start brewing coffee at home instead of buying it from Starbucks every morning. 10. Not setting aside money for taxes. So this means failing to plan for tax payments if you are a freelancer or self-employed or somebody who just doesn't pay taxes in advance or immediately from your income. People often underestimate their tax bill or assume that their regular income will just cover it, especially if they are new to freelance work or having a side income or basically not paying taxes in advance. But if you don't plan for taxes, you may face a large unexpected bill when the tax season comes, and that can force you to dip into savings or take on debt. I was actually very lucky that I have been able to avoid that. My income was always so poor that I didn't have to worry about these big tax payments when the tax season comes. But I think that the best way is not to have a low income, but actually to set aside a percentage of your income each month without even thinking that that money is yours. You know that that is actually going to the government or whoever gets those. This way you are prepared when the tax time actually arrives and you won't be caught off guard. If you want my expense tracking sheet, the link is in the description. It's completely free as mentioned before. And if you want more tips when it comes to personal finances and money, check out this video next. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to stay kind and meaningful in your own beautiful journey. See you in the next one.